Hello, welcome to the reading class. Okay, so in this class, we're gonna do the reading. Okay, so before we start, I want just to remind you about, like English. When we learn English, there are basically like two types of English, which is the general English, um, which is the one that we use in daily life, and then another one is more of academic English, where you would use it in your study, like reading a research or more of like textbooks and stuff. Okay, but general English would be more of something you read daily. The topic will be something that you could come across on daily basis. Okay, and today's class, we're going to do two readings, and one would be more of general English, and then another would be more of academic English. Okay? So before we start off with the reading itself, another thing I want to remind you about is the reading soft skills. And I would say there are like three things that you should think of when you're reading, when you read something. And the first one is skimming, which is to get an overall idea. So when you do the skimming, you want to get through the entire text quickly, and you want to get the overall idea, the flow of the story, what are the topics that the reading, has been covered in the reading, and those things. So this is just to get the overall idea, okay, of the reading text. And for the sake of reading tasks, when you skim, you will see kind of the flow. And then when you have to answer the questions, it will be easier, it will be quicker. So that is for skimming. Okay. And then the second one, scanning. Scanning is basically something that you would do if you want a specific information. So you would read for specific information. You have a target in mind of what you want to know, and then you look for it in the reading text, and then you would scan it, and then if you get the answer, and then that's it. You basically stop reading because you already get the answer. So that is scanning. And actually, like there would be this is the two, okay, the two that you usually used in reading. But in order to answer the questions, okay, so I would say you need detailed comprehension as well. So you need to really understand what you read in details, so that you can answer the questions correctly. Okay, so these are the skills that you will need in this class. Okay, so let's see the reading, okay, the one that you have to do. Okay, so we're gonna work on this reading, okay, which is a brief history of silk, this one, and it would be on page 91. Okay, so brief history of silk. So first of all, before we start reading like in details or scan, I will usually skim the text first so that we get a general idea of the text. We get the flow, we'll see like how it we will see how the writers write the story, so we know what we will know overall idea. Okay, so first of all, I want you to skim this text and see the topics, like it's quite long, and then even if you see the topic, which is a brief history of silk, and even though you know that it's going to be about history, but there's lots of details in the reading itself. So it will be better off if you skim the text and you kind of know how the story flow. Okay, so I want you to pause the video right here, okay, and skim this text just to see what are some subtopics that has been covered. So maybe each paragraph would have like one topic, or like maybe like two paragraphs would have shares the same topic, so it is possible as well. So just see the subtopic of what each paragraph talks about. Okay, so pause the video right here and continue after your after you're done with skimming. Okay, so as you continue the recording, so I assume that you finish with the skimming. Okay, so uh, even if the theme, the entire I mean the theme, general theme would be history of silk, and you will see that the majority of the content talks about the history, but uh, they talks about something else as well. Okay, so if you see the story, so maybe like we are Thai, and so we kind of we were familiar with silk. We know what it is. We because it's kind of part of our life. It's like our culture. But maybe there will be some culture, some places that they don't know what silk is. So you will see that the first paragraph, I would say like the first part, it kind of give an introduction about silk, just in case that like they don't know what silk is, right? So I would say the first part, the very first part here is more of introduction, like really brief introduction. And then if you move on to the second paragraph here, so from like today's basic silk productions process until a silk thread here. So as it has been mentioned, so they talk about production. So again, just in case that someone don't know what silk is. So from the first two paragraphs, they kind of have a rough ideas of silk. And then these two section here talks about history. So this is the history. So like, from the beginning onward. And then the very last part here is not so much of the history. I think it's more of the conclusion, like the landing of the passage. So it's kind of back to the today's situation, that talks about what happened today. So it's like the landing of the reading. Okay, so you will see, as I mentioned, even if the main thing would be history, but there's other things as well. So, and you will see the flow of it now. Okay, so next thing I want you to do is to move on to these true false does not say tags. Okay, and I assume that we did this in class before. So just to remind you is that if it's true, it like the information in the statements must be the same as the one in the written text. If it's false, so there must be something wrong with the information. And for does not say, it doesn't mean that you cannot find it, but you can kind of find the information, but you cannot identify whether the statement is true or false. Like it's unclear. It could be true or false. It depends, something like that. So that's the does not say. Okay. And when you do this, when you complete this task, what you should do is that you should find, these informations in the reading text. So even if it does not say, you will somehow find similar information. So find the information, okay, find the information and decide whether it's true, false, or does not say. And let's do the first one together. So the first statement, silk is suitable for different climates. Okay, so what you should do is that you should scan the reading text for these statements. Okay, so go back to the reading text and try to find the information silk suitable for different climates. So I'll leave you just a couple minutes to find it, and be aware that you will not find exact same words. You maybe they would it was just the same idea, but they will use different words, different grammar, different vocabulary to deliver these information. Okay, so if you haven't found it, so you please pause it right here. Okay, but if you already find it, so the information about the climates, okay, like suitable for different climates is kind of right at the beginning, and it would be like the first sentence here. You will see that they don't really use the word climates, but they use the word weather. And even if it's not exactly the same, but when we read it, we understand that it's the same thing. We're talking about like the same thing here. So weather, climates. And then the statements say that it is suitable for different climates. And here, comfortable to wear, no matter if the weather is hot or cold. So, it's in different climates and you can wear it. So for this one, you will see that the answer for the first question is true. Okay, so it is true because even if it's not exact same words, but when you read it, we get the same idea that we could wear it, in different climates. Okay, so you will see that for this one, you have to scan the reading in order to get the information. Okay, and you have to do kind of understand it in detail so that you can identify whether it's true or false. So at this stage, you would do the scanning and the detailed comprehension. Okay, so pause the video right here. Okay, pause your video right here, and then work on number 2 to number 8. Okay, 2 to 8, and we're gonna talk about it. But be aware that when you complete the task, please identify the statement from the text. Okay, and then later decide whether it's true or false. Not that don't use your memory. Don't complete it from the skim reading. Okay, as you continue the video, so I hope that you get it all done. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the statement. Let's talk about some keywords that you should find in the reading text. Okay, so the first one that we talk about is the word climate. Like climate is like the main word. Okay, so the one that make it stand out. So for example, if you search the word silk, so it's all over the text. So it will be very difficult to identify the statements. So the second one. So I would say it's silkworm here. It's kind of like the keywords. And then what helps you is that in order to make silk, so you will know that it would talk about the process and the production process, and then kiln. Okay. Number 3, again, silkworm, and then grow 5 centimeter long. When it's number, it seems to be easier when you get the number because it stands out with numbers. Next one, diet. Okay, so the key point here is diet, but just be aware of one thing is that when we talk about diet, so in Thai, usually when we talk about diet, we would think of like,ลดน้ำหนัก but actually these words means food. Okay, so for number 4, the the main point of this statement is that they talk about food. Number five, they talk about smuggling a silkworm out of China. So this is kind of the main idea of the statement. Number six, I would say it's more of popular today. Okay, so it's talk about like something right now. Okay. And then there's like then before. So there's two timeline here. Number five, there's the name. So Silk Road. Even if this word Silk Road, it's Silk Road it's like actually just like the common word like silk and road, you can like translate it differently. Okay, and then but you will see that they use a capital letter with an S and R, so it means that it's the name. And then when it's the name, it's easier to find. You would just find these names. Okay, and then number eight, world silk production. So I talk about like the world, like a worldwide, and then two countries like right here. So these are the key ideas. Okay, so at this point, I want you to pause the video a little bit, and then have a look at your statements, whether the statement that you choose contain these key ideas. Okay, so if it's contain this key idea, so it's mean like you are halfway through, like you almost get there. Okay, but if the statement that you choose from the text does not contain these idea, so there's a high chance that you will get the wrong answer. Okay, so please check it. Before I continue the video. Okay, so let's continue. So as you get the information, like you scan the text, okay? So we'll see where is the information that you should get, okay? So the first one here, we'll talk about the first sentence right here, okay? So number two, they talk about silkworm and then got killed, right? So it is right here. These cocoons are then boiled, killing this worm inside here. So this is the keyword, killing the worm inside. So it means that they die. Okay, so they die. So right here. So number two, the answer is true because killing the worm inside, so they die. Okay. Number three. So number three, it talks about can grow to 5 centimeter long, and it's talk about silkworm. So it's still in the second paragraph. And if you scan it, you will see there is no 5 centimeter. So obviously not true. But whether it's false or does not say. Okay. So the statement say that it can grow to 5 centimeter long. Okay, so the silkworm itself grows 5 centimeter long. Okay, but if you look at the statement kind of right here, they talk about the length of something. For example, they talk about the silk thread that is like 300 to 900 meters. They would talk about like fully grown and stuff, but they talk about full grown and then they talk about the length, but it's not the same thing. So for this one, we are not sure if the silkworms itself can grow to like how long can it grow. So for this one, that's why it does not say, because we cannot identify it for sure whether it's 5 centimeters or not. Okay, so it does not say. Number four, still talk about silkworm. So it's still in these paragraphs. Okay, so and then they talk about diet. So they talk about food. So the section that they talk about food is right here. Indeed, on strict diet of moly reef, it is estimated, blah, blah, blah. So it's talk about food here. So in this case, it talks about their food, which is moly leaves and on a strict diet here. So only one type of food. But in the statement, they say varied diet. So varied diet means like they can eat lots of things. varied คือหลากหลายนะ so this one is false. Okay, so for this one is false because it's only mulberry leaves, it's not, various. Number 5, let's talk about China. So we'll move on to kind of right here. So you'll see this statement: to smuggle either the silkworms or mulberry leaves outside or out of China. Okay, so was punishable by death. So these statements match to number 5. They match to number 5. And but for this one, and then you will see that it's very similar. It's punishable by death. And then number 5, it talks about like, people were killed. People were put to death. But the thing is that in the statement they say thousands of people คือเป็นคนเป็นพันๆคนเลยนะตาย but this one it would just say that it was punishable คือสามารถที่จะแบบถูกลงโทษด้วยการตายได้เลย so in this case we don't know if it's thousands of people or not, so there's no number in the text even if they talk about the same thing, like people were killed if they steal it basically, but no numbers. So we don't know if it's thousands, if it's hundreds, if it's millions. So for this one, it does not say, even if it's talk about the same thing, but we don't know the number. Okay, so for this one, it does not say. And number 6 talks about like today and before. So we'll get back to the first paragraph here. Okay, so you will see again back to the first sentence. Silk is as popular today as it was 5,000 years ago. So as popular today as, so it means like they are equally popular. So for number 6, so it's false. And for number 7, silk road. So this is the keyword. And then you could scan for this one and you will see it would be on the third column right here, silk road. And then pass through the important city of Petra in Jordan. And if you have the background knowledge of the world, the Petra is around Mediterranean right here. So you will see that it's very similar. But they say like have become popular, like the silk become popular around here, but they don't really say it for sure if it passed through Petra or not. So for this one, it does not say. Okay, if it's false, it's gonna be like did not pass Petra, so they have to like actually say that did not pass. But for this one, like we were not sure from the information here. It could pass or it could not pass, so like we're not sure, so it does not say. And for the last one, world silk production. So it talks about, you see, world's main producer. So in the last paragraph, okay, so here in the last paragraph, and it is dominated by 2 countries, and you will see that they talks about China and also India here. This question is tricky because only China is 80%, and then India is only 15%. So if you say false, you might say that, okay, because like China is dominated by only 1 country because it's 80%. Okay, but if you say true, so you could say like, yeah, and then India is another 15, it's quite a lot, which is, I think it's true as well. So here, for the sake of answering this one, the answer is true. And the actual answer is true. So as I mentioned that you could explain it differently, but when you answer the question, especially like if you're going to work on IELTS, so the point is that you have to see how the test has been designed, okay? And then this is how they think. So when they mention here, so 80 and 15 is a lot. So like they will see like, okay, so 15 is like still more than like the rest, 5%. So the number 8 is true. Okay, so second. So the answer. So I will go through the answer once again for you. Okay. So if it's a tick, so it's true. If it's a dash, it does not say, and the rest is false. Okay, so this is the answer. And if you finish, I want you to move on to task 4, okay, on page 92, this one, task 4. And it's multiple choice question. So answer the questions here. And even if it's multiple choice question, I want you to go back to the text and choose the information from the text again. Like where you get the answer from. Okay, so when you complete the exercise like this, please choose the answer from the reading text as well. So don't do it from your memory. Okay. So pause the video right here and work on it and continue after you're done. Okay, so you could see the answer here. Okay, so please check your answer and also go back to the reading text as well if the part that you choose contain like this answer, or if you get it wrong, please see why it's wrong, like why like the information that you choose in the text is different from the correct answer. Okay, and afterward we'll see how it goes. So pause the video right here so that you could check your answer. Okay, so let's see how we get to the answer. Okay, so the first one, the question is, before silk is gathered, silkworm cocoon are, okay, so right here, the answer is put in the hot water. And if you go back to the reading, the same part as the previous task here, these cocoons are then boiled. So it boil, mean like you put in hot water. So that's why the answer is D dog for the first one. Number 2, they talk about China silk was worn คือใส่โดยใครนี่นะ so you will see that for this part it's a little bit tricky as it's here. So it was only the emperor and his close family who were allowed to wear. Okay, so many people might answer C because like emperor, but in the choice it says like only by the emperor. So it's not just emperor himself. It's emperor and his close family. So that's why it's A, the royal family. So royal family means, the king and his family. So it's from right here. Number three, for this one, eggs were smuggled back to Europe. So at this point, you are required to have a background knowledge a little bit because they talk about Europe. And then if you skim through it, you will not really see the word euro, okay? But right here, they mean here, Turkey. So at this point, they think that you should know that Turkey is in, half of it, like part of it is in Europe, right? So the information would be like right here. Okay, so the answer, that's why the answer is 2 months, because 2 months take some eggs all the way to Turkey. Many people mention a princess. Okay, so mention a princess, and then there's mention princess right here. But they talk about, but if you read it closely, so that she took silkworm eggs in her hair and took them to her fiance's Asian kingdom. So Asian kingdom, so it's in Asia, so it's not Europe. So that's why it's wrong. Okay, so it's not the answer. So it will be like a little bit tricky like this. Number four, I talk about Silk Road. So we'll back to this section. And the answer for number four was used by trader. Okay, so it's kind of right here. Okay, so they talk about like this trade route here. Okay, so they depend on merchants here. So right here, when we talk about Silk Road, we'll talk about merchants, a พ่อค้า so it's the same thing as traders. So that's why the answer is C. And the last one, the answer is DDoP, not only made in China, because the very last paragraph here, they talk about India as well. So that's why it's the not only made in China. So you will see that this part here, this reading here, as you answer the question, so you are required to have like background knowledge. You have to use different reading sub skills in order to get the answer. Okay, so and then that's it for the first reading. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the second reading, which is this one. Okay, but we could skip to this part here. So how is paper manufactured? Okay, so this is the heading. So it's a topic. So how is paper manufactured? So before we start reading, so it's good to, know the topic a little bit, so it would help you with the guessing, when you try to guess the content of what it's about. Okay, so let's talk about manufacture. When we see this word, actually, if you translate it into Thai, it would mean the same thing as produce. But I think these two words have like different sense. เพราะฉะนั้นสมมติถ้าเราพูดว่า produce มันแปลว่าผลิตทั้งคู่เลยนะทำขึ้นมา ถ้าใช้คำว่า produce มันจะเป็นฟีลประมาณไหน แล้วถ้าเกิดเป็น manufacture นะมันจะเป็นฟีลประมาณไหน so take a couple minutes to think about this two word, like how different it is to you. Okay, so for the two word, okay, so if I would say if I use the word manufacture like just like this one I would think of like machines factory เนี่ยนะเพราะฉะนั้นมันจะดูออกแนวแบบเหมือนผลิตที่มันแบบเยอะๆเป็นเครื่องจักรอะไรเงี้ยซะมากกว่านะแต่ว่าถ้าเกิดมันเป็น produce อะมันจะเป็นผลิตแบบทำขึ้นมาแบบมันอาจจะเป็น handmade ก็ได้เป็นคนทำอะไรเงี้ยความหมายมันอาจจะแบบ general กว่านิดนึงแต่ว่าถ้าเกิดเป็นถ้าเกิดเป็นเป็นเป็น manufacturer อะมันมักจะนึกถึงโรงงานเครื่องจักรอะไรประมาณเนี้ยนะเพราะฉะนั้นhow is paper manufactured พออ่านตรงนี้ปุ๊บใช่ป่ะมันจะนึกถึงแบบเฮ้ยตีมันคงเป็นการผลิตมันต้องเป็นการผลิตกระดาษอยู่แล้วแต่ว่ามันเป็นการผลิตกระดาษแบบที่โอเคแบบเป็นแมชชีนแบบยิ่งใหญ่นิดนึงอะไรเงี้ยไม่ใช่แบบกระดาษสาที่แบบทำงานแฮนด์เมดอะไรประมาณนี้นะเพราะงั้นเนี่ยด้วยจากอ่าจากจากจากคำที่เขาใช้เราก็เลยจะ get vibe ของมันนิดนึงพอจะเดาทางได้นะเพราะงั้นทีนี้นะเอ่ออยากให้we're gonna start off with skimming again but this time okay so you will see there are 4 paragraphs and then you will see there's some blanks right here okay so what I want you to do is I want you to skim the text okay and choose the subheading here so subheading exercise 2 on page 95 so this exercise, they give you like 4 subheadings. I want you to skim the text and match it to the correct paragraph. Okay, so it's more of a skimming. You have to get the overall idea of what it talks about. Okay, so pause the video right here and work on it before continue the video. Okay, so you can see the answer right here. Okay, so this is number 3 in exercise 2, which is the first one would be obtaining the raw material. So for the first one, okay. And the second one, number 2, so it's processing the raw material. Okay, and for C, paragraph C, the answer is turning the raw material into a product. And the last one, okay, so making the product ready for market. Okay, so this is the answer. And for this one, this is you would use a skimming skill to answer this. You have to kind of get the overall idea, the general idea of the reading text, okay, in order to answer these tasks. Okay, so for this reading, I want to focus on something different. I want to talk about an outline. Okay, so let's see this part here. So you will see that this is the answer from previous tasks, like the 4, and this is in order. Okay, so I put it as kind of like a bullet point right here. Okay, so when we do the outline, so it's very similar to writing, where you have to have like ideas before you put it together in a paragraph. But for this task, I'm gonna do it backward. Okay, คือพอเป็น outline ปุ๊บมันคือเหมือนเป็น bullet point เป็นแบบเป็น point มาว่าเอ้ยเราจะพูดเรื่องอะไรบ้างแล้วเราค่อยมาเขียนให้มันเป็นเป็นเหมือนแบบเนื้อเรื่องใช่ไหมแต่ว่าอันเนี้ยคือเรามีเนื้อเรื่องอยู่แล้วแต่ว่า what I want you to do is that I want you to get it back to an outline format ซึ่งเวลาเราพูดถึง outline นะมันจะเป็นภาพประมาณนี้เนี่ยคือมันจะแปลว่าแต่ละอันเนี่ยมันก็จะมีแบบ key idea ของมันนะประมาณนี้นะเป็นแบบเป็นพาร์ทประมาณนี้อย่างเงี้ยคือเรียกว่าแบบ outline คือit only contains the key idea but not like all the details but it's just the key idea ฉะนั้นเวลาตอนที่เราอ่านแล้วเราทำ outline แบบนี้ได้มันเหมือนเป็นการช่วยเราแบบสรุปเนื้อเรื่องสำคัญสรุปเนื้อเรื่องหลักๆของแต่ละแบบเอเซประมาณนี้นะซึ่งเหมือนฟีลเหมือนเวลาเราอ่านหนังสือสอบเราก็จะไม่ต้องอ่านเยอะไม่ต้องอ่านลงดีเทลทีเนี้ยอยากให้เรานะเนี่ยเดี๋ยวเราจะมาทำตรงนี้กัน but we're gonna only do the first 2 paragraph here นะทีนี้ เวลาตอนทำอย่างเงี้ยนะคืออย่างธีมของพารากราฟแรกอะมันก็คือ obtaining the raw material ถูกไหมอันนี้คือธีมใหญ่ทั้งหมดของมันละทีนี้เอ่อสิ่งที่เราจะทำเนี่ยนะมันก็คือเหมือนเราอ่ะจะต้องอ่านเพื่อที่จะเหมือนจัดระเบียบความคิดเราว่าโอเคมันจะเป็นแบบมันจะมันจะมีแบบข้อมูลเนี่ยคือเขาให้อะไรมาบ้างอะประมาณนี้นะทีเนี้ยอยากให้เรานะ go back to the the first paragraph here paragraph A ตรงนี้นะซึ่งเป็นเรื่องเกี่ยวกับแบบ obtaining the raw material แล้วแบบเนี้ยคือจริงๆแล้ว key idea ของมันนะมีอะไรบ้าง แล้วทำออกมาเป็นแบบแค่สรุป key idea แบบใส่เป็นในแง่ bullet point หน่อยว่ามันมีอะไรเห็นนะแล้วเดี๋ยวเรามาดูกันเดี๋ยวเราค่อยๆมาดูกันเพราะฉะนั้นอยากให้ลองอ่านอีกทีนะลงดีเทลกว่า skimming รอบแรกแล้วดูว่าเอ้ยจริงๆแล้วเขาโฟกัสเรื่องอะไรแล้ว key idea ของมันคืออะไร so maybe take a couple minutes to read again and then put it into a bullet point put the key ideas into a bullet point ใครยังไม่แน่ใจว่ามันแบบหน้าตาเป็นยังไงลองดูก่อนนะแล้วเดี๋ยวเรามาทำเดี๋ยวทำพารากราฟแรกไปพร้อมกันแล้วเดี๋ยวพารากราฟที่สองเนี่ยให้ลองทำเองแบบทั้งหมดเลยนะทีนี้ถ้าดูที่พารากราฟแรกตรงนี้นะ you will see that the key idea I mean the main point is obtaining the raw materials but to be more specific they talked about right type of tree and then they kind of explain the type of tree right so uh, so there and then to be more specific there are two types of tree so this is the key idea okay so if you want to put it into a paragraph okay so as we mentioned that they obtain the raw materials and actually the raw materials is always like three so and they mentioned choose the right types of tree right so this is the key idea right and then they kind of explain that there are two types right there are two types of trees that has been mentioned so the first one they mentioned hardwood right hardwood trees actually okay and then the other one they mentioned softwood tree oh. So these are like the two main points, okay? And you could be more details. For example, if they talk about hardwood, they actually like explain more. They have an example of like oak, okay? And then they have an example of the softwood, which is pine. So you will see that by reading the outline you can kind of get the general ideas you can kind of guess ว่าแบบโอเคโอ๊กนี่คือเป็นตัวอย่างและอะไรเงี้ยเนาะเพราะฉะนั้นอ่ะเวลาอ่านด้วย outline แบบเนี้ยมันก็จะง่ายกว่าแล้วก็เร็วกว่าคือมันเก็บแค่ key idea ถูกไหมอย่างสเต็ปนี้นะมันก็อาจจะลงดีเทลไปอีกนะเพราะว่าเขามีดีเทลเล่าอยู่เขาบอกว่าอ่า ตรงเนี้ยพอพอเขาพูดถึงอ่า hard wood ใช่ไหมเขาก็จะบอกว่ามันอ่า paper อ่ะมันจะ weaker เพราะงั้น you could say like here ถูกไหมทีนี้พอมันเป็น soft wood ตรงนี้ปุ๊บเพราะงั้นเขาก็จะบอกว่ามันเป็นแบบ make stronger paper อย่างนี้เห็นไหมซึ่งจริงๆอันนี้เปลี่ยนให้มันเป็น type เดียวกันนะเพราะงั้นเราอาจจะเป็น make weaker paper อย่างนี้นะคือให้มันแบบออกแนวเป็นแพทเทิร์นเดียวกันประมาณนี้เห็นไหมซึ่งเนี่ยถ้าดูจากพารากราฟที่มันเขียนอะไรเยอะแยะไปหมดเลยนะแล้วมาดูแบบว่าเหมือนมาสรุปจริงๆอ่ะคือเนี่ยแค่เนี้ยแหละประมาณนี้แหละที่มันอันนี้คือเก็บเกือบหมดละมันคือคีย์ไอเดียเพราะงั้นอันนี้นะอันเนี้ยคือเอาไลน์นะเพราะงั้นน่ะมันจะเป็นการเหมือนแบบสรุปใจความสำคัญแล้วภาษาถ้าลองดูภาษานะมันก็จะไม่ได้ถูกกันมากคือไม่ได้แบบเป็น written language ที่เป็นประธานกริยากรรม แต่ว่ามันเหมือนเป็นจริงๆมันก็จะมีแกรมมาของมันนะที่เขาแบบชอบใช้กับเรื่องนี้อะไรเงี้ยแต่ว่าก็จะเห็นว่ามันแบบคือมันอ่านรู้เรื่องแต่มันจะไม่ถูกแกรมมาแบบ100%เป๊ะขนาดนั้นนะเพราะฉะนั้นwhat I want you to do is I want you to try to work on the second paragraph อันนี้นะเพราะงั้นเอาแค่ paragraph 2นะแล้วก็เนี่ยสรุปใจความสำคัญออกมานะให้มันเหมือนเนี่ย contains the key idea นะดังนั้น pause วิดีโอตรงนี้เลยเนาะแล้วก็ work on it and then continue after you're done you could see the answer right here be aware that this is just a suggested answer so it doesn't mean that it has to be like exactly the same but if it contains the same idea so then that is fine so I will leave you a couple minutes to check your answerทีนี้มาดูคำตอบกัน so as the name, I mean, after heading of the overall text suggests that it's talks about how is paper manufactured เพราะฉะนั้นน่ะคือมันก็จะพูดถึง process เพราะฉะนั้นน่ะไอตัวข้อแรกอ่ะมันอาจจะออกแนวเป็นแบบว่าอธิบายถึงไม้ใดๆถึง material มาแต่พอมาเป็นประกับเนี่ยมันจะเป็นแบบ process ละทีเนี้ย พอมันเป็น process แล้วเนี่ยนะคือก็จะเห็นว่ามันแบบจริงๆอย่าง A B C D เนี่ยมันก็จะคือ process ด้วยแหละมันก็จะไหลแบบนี้อะไรเงี้ยเพราะงั้นหมายถึงว่าแบบพอหมายถึงว่า process มันไหลแบบนี้นะมัน flow แบบนี้อะไรเงี้ยเพราะฉะนั้นอ่ะคือถ้าเกิด follow ตามตัว paragraph อะมันก็จะเป็นอันนี้ก็จะเป็น process แต่ว่าตัวที่เป็นแบบพวกดีเทลหรือว่าอย่างเช่นอย่างดูอย่างคำว่า bark นะอย่างถ้าใน text เขาก็จะค่อยๆอธิบายใช่ไหมว่าแบบ outer skin อะไรเงี้ยแต่ว่าอันเนี้ยก็เหมือนแบบใช้คำว่า bark ไปเลยเหมือนมันสรุป key idea เหมือนฟีลเหมือนเราอ่านหนังสือสอบแล้วเราก็ฟีลเหมือนเราอ่านหนังสือสอบแล้วเราก็แบบเหมือนสรุปใจความสำคัญมาแล้วอย่างเงี้ยนะเพราะฉะนั้นมันก็จะไม่ได้ต้องลงดีเทลมากหรือว่าบางบางบางชื่อก็อาจจะไม่ได้ใส่คือเหมือนด้วยความที่เราอยากเน้นที่ process อย่างนี้มันก็เลยแบบโอเค focus on the process itself แบบแบบไหลเป็นแบบโฟลว์มาเลยอะไรประมาณเนี้ยนะเพราะฉะนั้นน่ะมันก็เลยดูสั้นมากเลยทั้งที่จริงๆอ่ะด้วยตัวพารากราฟมันนะก็จะแอบยาวนิดนึงใช่ไหมเพราะฉะนั้นน่ะอ่าอันเนี้ยเป็นเหมือนวิธีสรุป reading มากกว่าเนาะซึ่งอันเนี้ยมันก็จะมีประโยชน์มันใช้ตอนที่เราอ่านหนังสือก็แบบอ่านหนังสือสอบก็ได้อะไรเงี้ยหรือว่าเวลาตอนที่เราเก็บข้อมูลที่จะเอาไปเขียน writing ต่อก็ทำเป็นแบบนี้ได้เหมือนกันนะเพราะงั้นอันเนี้ยคือเขาเรียกว่าทำเอาไลน์เพราะฉะนั้นอ่ะปกติถ้าสมมติทำเป็น writing ก่อนที่จะเขียน writing ได้ก็ทำ outline แบบเขียนว่าเป็น outline ก่อนแล้วก็ค่อยเอาไปรวบเป็นแบบ essay format เป็น paragraph format แต่ว่าถ้าเราเป็น reading เนี่ยคือเรามี reading เป็น full reading อยู่แล้วเราก็เหมือนทำ backward คือโอเคมันมี reading อยู่แล้วเราเหมือนสรุปใจความสำคัญออกมาเราก็ทำแบบนี้ซึ่งอย่างตอนเนี้ยนะสมมติว่าถ้าเรามี reading เนาะเราก็เหมือนว่าได้ข้อมูลได้ใจความสำคัญแบบนี้มาแล้วอะแล้วเราค่อยเอาไป paraphrase อย่างเงี้ยเพื่อที่จะเอาไปเขียน writing ต่อแบบเหมือนเวลาเราหาข้อมูลทำ assignment อย่างเงี้ยอันนี้ก็ได้เหมือนกันซึ่งจริงๆก็คือดีนะเพราะว่ามันก็จะกลายเป็นแบบ your own word จริงๆเพราะมันมาเหมือนเราเอาแบบตัวเนื้อหาตัวตัวแบบคอนเทนต์หลักๆมาเขียนจริงๆอะไรเงี้ยเพราะฉะนั้นน่ะอันนี้ก็จะเป็นวิธีหนึ่งที่สามารถเอาไปใช้ได้ในหลายแบบหลายสถานการณ์มากอ่ะเพราะฉะนั้นอันนี้แบบเป็นตัวอย่างของตัว outline นะเพราะฉะนั้นอ่าจริงๆทุก reading ก็จะทำเป็น outline ได้หมดเลยแต่ว่าบางอันมันอาจจะทำยากกว่าอันอื่นหน่อยคืออย่างเช่นแบบอย่างอันนี้ paragraph 2มันเป็น process มันอาจจะง่ายแบบเห็นชัดนิดนึงว่าโอเคเป็นสเต็ปที่หนึ่งที่สองที่สามแต่ว่าบางอันบาง text มันก็อาจจะเป็นฟีลเหมือน paragraph แรกที่แบบบอกเป็นแค่แบบตัวข้อมูลเลยไม่ใช่ process เพราะฉะนั้นอันนี้ก็จะขึ้นอยู่กับอันนี้ขึ้นอยู่กับตัวแบบตัวเนื้อหาของแต่ละอันด้วยประมาณนี้นะเพราะฉะนั้นthat's it for this class okay so ฝากเรื่อง outline เอาไว้นอกจากการที่ทำพวกแบบ reading exercise เนาะอันนี้ก็จะแบบมีประโยชน์ในอีกแง่หนึ่งด้วยเหมือนกัน Okay, so thank you for watching and joining this class. Okay, so yeah, so then that's it for this reading class.